Welcome back to the show.
This show's about Lost.
Show's about Lost. It's called The Island Shuffle. I'm Bean Levier.
And I'm James Brown.
This is the show where we watch Lost in the wrong order.
Why, you may ask?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can keep asking.
You can keep asking, but we'll never tell. I mean, we can keep trying to pin it quite kind of down, but we're not there yet. We haven't figured it out yet.
A famous man, Socrates, asked why a really long time ago, and he never got an answer.
And honestly, he didn't deserve one.
Yeah, that fucker.
That fucker.
Hot take number one.
Not Aristotle. Socrates.
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 And Aristotle.
Aristotle.
And Plato. No, was it Plato said why? Who said why? No, I don't fucking know.
They all said
They
a bunch.
said why.
You know what they said? A whole bunch of nonsense that I can't make heads or tails of.
I don't know. It's all Greek to me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I lob him over the plate and you knock him out of the park, baby. That's
you
our
made
dynamic.
it to the show, everybody.
Yeah,
welcome to our show about Lost.
Welcome to our show about Lost and philosophy. Do you know that Lost is a very philosophical show? There's a character on it named John Locke and another named Desmond Hume.
Fuck, that sucks so much.
Doesn't it suck?
It sucks so much.
Doesn't it suck? Because I remember at the time being like, whoa, what's philosophy?
Yeah.
They named these characters after philosophers, but this
And
is
then it's
fucking
like,
deep,
no.
dude. And then it's like, no, they just Googled philosophers.
Well, no, I'm sure that these writers have philosophy degrees.
Well, they gotta. As I think was clear in this episode.
Yeah.
This episode is called Exposé. It aired in the middle of season 3, episode 14, I want to say.
Really, it really fucked me up. Whenever I saw that we were getting a mid-season 3 episode,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is going to be like pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's going to be no nonsense, no muss, no fuss.
It's going to be like them against the others.
Nope. Actually, one of the show's crazier experiments.
Yeah. So this really to me felt like season 6 light, or just season 6 earlier. It wasn't light. So basically what this episode was, the main characters are two people that didn't exist before this episode, and but we are supposed to believe certainly don't exist after, but they like build this entire backstory where it's like, oh, these characters were here the whole time.
Yeah, they were just off camera.
Yeah.
Remember this iconic scene? Well, if you look just to the left over here, here's our heroes, Nikki and Paolo.
Exactly. So, but it started off really well.
Yeah.
Started off with a fucking bang. It started off on the set of hit television show Exposé.
The namesake of this episode, we see Nikki doing a strippy, and we're actually not quite, at first we're not aware that this is like what it is, but Nikki's doing a stripper show. She's stripping.
She's hanging out being a stripper.
She's hanging out being a stripper, and she spies someone, and she goes into the back room, and then she sees a briefcase full of money, and then suddenly
delivers this sick line.
Yes, hit me.
That's the money for the orphanage.
Yep, pretty good scene overall, because then music starts, and then like the chair swivels around, and it's Billy D. Williams, and he's there, and he's like, "Sorry, babe, I'm Billy D. Williams," and then shoots her,
which is sick. It was a good scene. It's a goddamn good scene.
And then someone calls cut. 'Twas all but a dream. 'Twas all but a show within a show.
It was a show within a show. They zoom out, and they're in Sydney, Australia. And there's this old man who's the director, and he's making out with this babe who was the stripper in the show. And they're like, "Oh, I love you." And she's like, "I love you too." And then they go to the director's house, and he's like, "Try one of the homemade buns." And then she grabs one, and she's like, "There's a shit ton of diamonds in here." And then the old man goes, "It's time for me to die."
Yep, and then he does die. And then
this is so fucked that it's like that is just what happened.
That's just what happens. Are we talking about Lost? Yeah, we're talking about Lost. Don't worry about it. This is an episode of the television show Lost about the island that moves.
Why?
So okay, let's get Nikki and Paolo to the island first of all, and then we can finally start to fucking dive into what's up with them, what the fucking deal is. So Buddy dies, the chef comes out, and then turns out Nikki and the chef, whose name is Paolo, were in cahoots to kill this guy and steal his diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
They steal his diamonds, and then they go to Sydney, Australia airport, Sydney International, I don't fucking know. And they're like, let's go and fly away. But then, wouldn't you know it, they happen to be on that fateful crash, Oceanic 815. And then the rest of their flashbacks are mostly just like we said earlier, it's just like iconic scenes that the viewer would have already seen.
Yeah.
But they're just off to the side.
They're just standing like 10 feet away from like Jack, Sawyer, Kate, and the rest of the gang.
If you recall if you've ever seen the pilot of this show, the big set piece of it is like everybody's screaming, there's wreckage everywhere, everybody's hollering, the camera's kind of shaking everywhere. You get kind of glimpses of the whole cast and everybody's doing something, and they kind of CG'd Nikki into there stumbling around, and she does that. And anyways, their whole okay, I don't even know where to start with this. Okay, their whole thing is like they gotta find those diamonds, baby, because it's all about the diamonds.
Gotta find those diamonds. Our love is a diamond love.
And it ultimately tears them apart, and they end up all, and it doesn't do them any good.
It's so fucking sick. The ending was cool.
The ending is very.
The only thing
The
they showed it from.
Cool.
It was a Shakespeare ending.
Yeah. Before we talk about the ending, I want to bring up some, like, so here's the thing.
Son, we're not going on the camping.
We're not going on a camping trip. We're going to the dentist.
Yeah.
Here's a problem. Here's a problem that happens when you make an ensemble show where you have 10 or 11 or so, maybe more, main cast characters who are all fully fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
But you've crashed on an island where there are ostensibly 40-some characters.
Mm-hmm.
How do you address those extra sums of characters? And you see different solutions happen here and there. Some people kind of become recurring characters like Rose and Bernard. Some people kind of
they were fun.
They're
I
fun.
liked them.
They're good. They're wholesome. Some people like kind of only appear for one scene or here and there. Their solution around season 3, they decided, what if we added these 2 new guys and they were kind of there the whole time. But like, what if we kind of saw the whole events of the show, but from their perspective, and like it. So, oh god, there's a lot. Because the thing is,
there's a lot of reasons why that's a problem.
There's a lot of reasons why it's
in terms of
bad.
Like creating a realistic. World. I guess it doesn't have to be realistic, but it has to be like coherent. It's like it doesn't have to resemble reality, but it has to resemble itself.
It has to resemble itself.
So like watching this, it seemed like they just decided to do something that was just so contradictory to everything that they had built up beforehand.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't see any scenario in which these people could exist off screen.
Absolutely.
If they were doing the things that they were doing, because they were always like in their flashbacks on the island, they were very involved. They were constantly interacting with our main characters. And then, so like, why in the world would you ever believe that these people were there all along?
Exactly. They literally, it's not like they took pre-existing characters and were like, actually, these guys were important the whole time.
Yeah.
They were doing their whole thing. They just, at the start of season 3, they just start showing up. They just start appearing, and it's like Jack shows up and he's like, here's an important thing about the others. And then Nikki's like, what do you mean? And we, the audience, are like, who the hell is this actually?
Yeah.
And then this episode answers, who the hell are these 2 randos?
The answer is they're 2 randos.
The answer is they're 2 randos.
They don't fit in with the gang and all, which I mean is sort of fucking dumb. They don't interact. They don't hang out. They don't like each other.
They don't like each other. I don't like. So like the theory is like, you know, here's a fucking alternate angle on all the events you're familiar with.
But not what we got. It was the same angle with new people.
It was the same angle with new people, and also these 2, the actor and actress who play Nikki and Paolo, are not good actors or actresses.
No, they actually are not.
They're not. They're very they're very wooden.
To be
and
fair,
they don't care.
Yeah. I don't know if I can actually blame it on them, because it's like they're playing shitty characters.
Yeah, that's true.
And they were, you know, I don't think even fucking George Clooney or Meryl Streep could make those characters interesting.
No, I think
Like-
I think it was a failed. I think it was just a failed experiment. And
Yeah.
I think that's why the episode kind of ends the way it does.
Yeah.
I think they were basically just like, because to be clear, like nobody liked when these characters showed up. Everybody was like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, what are you doing? Stop wasting my time. So they were like, okay, here's the answer. We're gonna waste your time for a full episode, but then we'll kill them.
Really, that's what happened. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested. I'm excited to see them again.
You're-
In
oh,
little
yeah.
cameos and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. See if you can spot them if we ever watch any early season 3 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. When we do.
Yeah, we will. It's inevitable.
But yeah, do you want to go through? We'll go through the episode. Tell them what happens.
So outside of the flashbacks, the whole episode kind of lightning's happening and it's spooky.
It's so spooky. You said flash, and
Mhm.
then lightning happened, and now
Mhm.
there's an airplane out there, and it's like, don't get hit by the lightning,
Yeah, it's
little airplane.
Don't crash on a mysterious island.
Yeah, Montreal is a mysterious island.
Yeah,
Can we get that fucking straight right now?
man, I honestly love it, talking about how Montreal is an island, and I love talking about how PEI is an island.
Yeah.
I think we've done that 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah,
and every time
I'll try and sneak it in next
sneak it
time,
in every time. It's like it's gonna be our the snails in Adventure Time. How you can see one of those every episode. Anyways, the framing device for the episode is we see Nikki run out of the woods, and Hurley and Sawyer, our boys, the best boys ever.
The best boys and the best friends ever.
The best friends.
They're fucking playing ping
They're
pong.
BFFs. This episode tests their friendship, but they started out this episode playing some ping pong on the beach, baby.
I've made friends playing ping pong in parks.
You
Like,
have.
It is real. You form a bond.
It is true and real and good. It is a just sport to play with your best friend forever, especially if you're stranded on an island. But what interrupts their game is Nikki coming out. She mutters something and then passes out, and suddenly Hurley's looking at her, and Hurley goes, "Oh my God, she's dead. Nikki is dead." And Sawyer, as you and I both did, said, "Who the hell's Nikki?"
Yeah.
And so the whole episode in present day times is Hurley and Sawyer kind of get a kind of crew together. They have Charlie, they have Sun and Jin, they have someone else. I think that's kind of the whole squad they have
Kate in
going.
on that?
I don't think Kate was in on this.
Kate was doing something. She was on screen for like 2 minutes.
She was in the past. They're hanging around there, and they're trying to solve the mystery of who are these guys actually? Why do none of us know them? And how did they die?
What a fucking ragtag group. I love when they
Yes.
just put together the fucking just a crew of misfits. Like Sawyer,
Charlie.
Hurley, Sun, Jin, and Charlie.
It's such a
that is
that-
absurd.
that rules.
Yeah.
The best part of the show is when it's is kind of this deep well of characters it has, so you can just be like, okay, well now it's Sawyer, Michael, and Jin are hanging out on the raft.
Exactly.
Why not?
I guess they're the main
I
characters
guess
this episode.
they're the main characters this episode. This is a part of the episode I really actually is the framing device of what's the fucking of the it's such a caper. They go around and they go to their camp and they're like, who the heck is what the heck? And they go and find Paolo's body also in the jungle, and they kind of dig around and they throw around theories. They're like, did someone poison the food supply? Maybe this was the monster that did it. Maybe they killed each other. Maybe they died because they were working for the others. Maybe it's very wholesome.
And that's sort of another problem with it, though, that I find is that just they just toss out all these possibilities, and it makes perfect sense that they would be legitimately worried about this, but I'm certain that the next episode, it's they will just have forgotten all about it.
Yes.
When it's maybe the others just killed 2 of your crew that apparently were part of your crew.
Yes.
Or maybe 2 people that you trusted were actually working together the whole time. It's after Ethan died, that sort of had reverberations. And but these guys, it's they're just so meaningless.
They're so meaningless, and they're there's a lot of there's an amount of self-awareness to this episode.
Yeah.
But like a corny amount.
Yeah.
Not like a winky nudge amount. A like fucking dollop of it. And this episode is polarizing for that reason.
Yeah.
Like you and I.
Do people like it?
People like it.
Wow.
People are into the fact that they were just like fucking going for it. They're like that. The writers were just like, let's have some fun with this one. And they're clearly having fun with this one.
That's.
I mean, I don't know how much fun they're having.
I think that's what separates like really great dramatic shows from shows like Lost. Is like The Wire and Breaking Bad never at any point went like, let's have
a fun
just
one.
Try it out on this one. No, it's like they were very deliberate, like really consistent things, and that's why they have like a lasting impact.
But
Lost was just trying it out.
Lost is just throwing things at the wall, and they didn't always stick.
No, exactly.
But Lord bless them, they tried.
Someone had to do it.
Someone had to try this crazy thing so that we could know that it doesn't work.
Exactly.
Imagine if Breaking Bad is just like, let's just do an episode around 2 people and make it bad.
2 people that never existed and never will again. Yeah.
This is about as a standalone an episode as you can get in this show, because Nikki and Paolo don't exist pretty much at all before this, and they absolutely don't exist past this.
Yeah. So what else happens? So they steal these diamonds, and then they crash on the island.
They crash on the island.
And then it sort of shows them in the peripheries of all of the important events that happened beforehand, except on their mind the entire time is just finding these fucking diamonds.
Exactly. They don't care about helping survival. They just want these diamonds.
And then one day they go to the quarry where the diamonds obviously are.
Yeah.
And Nikki's like, yo, Paolo, you got to fucking jump in there because obviously the diamonds are there. And Paolo does, and the diamonds are there, obviously. But he doesn't tell Nikki. He tells her, there's no diamonds in here.
Yep.
And she sort of gets a bit upset and walks away. And it's really funny because she just walks away and doesn't wait for him, and he just dives back down.
You're
and
like,
takes the
immediately,
diamond.
really good.
Yeah, so that
good
that
play,
was
good stealth move by Paolo.
And then the rest of it is sort of Paolo like trying to hide the diamonds, and he hides it in one of the hatches. Like he's the first one to discover an important hatch.
Yes, remember that hatch that Mr. Echo found back in the day? Turns out these jabronis found it first.
Yeah, I guess
and,
so. Which is another problem. It's like you just completely destroy the significance of like previous events. Like that was a really interesting, cool part of the show.
Yeah.
And you just like sully it with this absolute shit. Like you take something that was good and didn't need to be touched. It's like that episode was good and that plot was good, and the way that Echo discovered it was very like spiritual, which sort of fit with like the vibe of the island.
Yeah, it fits.
And then these guys just stumble upon it looking for some fucking pirate ass diamonds.
Yep.
Like
they just found it. They just found it, and they tried hard. They like if you look hard enough for diamonds, you find all the plot important things.
Exactly.
It's
so bad.
It's super forced.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like. There's a part of me. Here's what I think. Here's what I think about this. Like kind of. Because it feels like it's like, this one's for the fans.
Yeah.
A wink, wink, and a nudge. Hey, you remember this scene? And remember fucking this guy?
Exactly.
And this
it felt like a clip show or something.
I feel like a
flashback episode. What was?
It does feel like a lot like a clip show, because it's a lot of like, remember these guys? And it's like they run into Shannon and Boone at the airport, who have been long dead instead, and they're just like being awful. They're like, okay. Can I tell you? So remember how I mentioned the problem of how do you deal with the extra 40-some passengers on the plane, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to know how that problem gets resolved?
I really, really would.
At the start of season 5, they are all killed.
Abruptly?
Steadily over the course of 2 episodes. Fairly abruptly.
Oh my god.
And it's not really mentioned. Nobody's ever like, holy fuck, all those people died. They just move on.
Of course.
Now,
like, we've been here for 90 days already. We've just got cut. Like, we just lost like 80% of our population. But you know what? The gang's still together.
Yeah, the gangs, all the important people are still there.
It's like, yeah, I feel like that was the great thing about, like, in Seinfeld, if everyone else in New York died, they wouldn't notice.
They would not. Yeah, that's...
And that's, isn't that exactly what it's like?
Yeah, exactly.
In The Simpsons, if everyone else in Springfield died, they wouldn't notice.
This is like a Simpsons episode if it was about the two people in the background for one frame. This is like a Breaking Bad episode if it was about two people in the background for one frame.
That's so funny, actually.
This is like The Wire if it was about two people who were in the background for one frame.
Oh my God, yeah. So yeah, that's like I was saying with the Echo thing, where that was a really interesting way to drive plot forward, and I was invested in the character. So when the character did a thing,
it mattered.
It mattered. Yeah, exactly. So then to literally go back in time and just undo that shit sucks.
Yeah.
And so the killing of a bunch of people just abruptly and them not noticing too just is an equivalent of that.
It's not good.
It
definitely is.
It undoes all the work that you've done.
It really
because it
does.
Delegitimizes yourself.
It really, really does. I'm a season 5 defender, but that's a poor move for sure. Because we still haven't actually watched any episodes from season 5, eh?
Jesus Christ. Really?
Not one.
We're on episode 11 right now?
We haven't watched a single episode from season 5. That's waiting for it. Because there's a lot.
I guess that's not incredibly unlikely. But whatever, we'll get there.
We sure will. So what ends up ultimately happening to our beloveds, Nikki's and Paolo's, is this is kind of the whole twist of the episode is Nikki eventually figures out that we see a scene where they're like kind of happy together and it's like, oh, the diamonds would have torn us apart anyway, right, honey? And then Nikki eventually figures out, oh, Paolo actually found the diamonds and lures Paolo out into the jungle and six a poisonous spider upon him.
Yeah, she throws a spider at him.
Which is awesome. Then explains that spider's gonna paralyze you, buddy. Only for 8 hours or so, but definitely anybody who sees you is gonna think you're dead. But then she also gets bitten by a spider as well.
Yeah, just because she's not careful. She just throws crazy spiders around and then forgets where they go after, which was I don't know, Nikki.
Not a smart move. But the end result is that the twist of the episode is they were not dead at all. They were simply paralyzed. But the gang doesn't know this. The gang doesn't figure this out, and the episode ends with them getting buried alive,
which is cool.
Which is fucking not a bad payoff for a bad episode.
Such a good redemption point.
Yeah, it feels cruel of me to say it's sick that these guys got buried alive, but also
awesome. They deserve it.
They were barely characters.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's fine.
It's a little bit of Romeo and Juliet.
It's exactly like Romeo and Juliet.
It's stolen from Shakespeare, which I mean is great.
Yeah,
steal from Shakespeare.
They stole from
every time.
They stole from philosophy plenty enough.
Just names, not ideas.
Not ideas or concepts.
Just names.
Well, they did steal the concepts of fate and destiny versus maybe not fate and maybe not destiny.
I guess.
I don't know if they stole those concepts or if they just kind of
utilized these concepts that humanity has been dwelling over for a very long time.
Yeah, it's not unlike any show, I guess, to
just talk about a thing.
I'm looking at a couple of notes, and I just looked at a note that says Zuckerberg ?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Apparently the movie star that they killed was named Zuckerberg.
He was a director.
Oh, he's a director. Yeah.
I think it wasn't quite Zuckerberg. I think it was something very
like
similar.
Zuckerman or something like that.
Yeah, maybe Zuckerman.
Yeah. But it was it
Zuckerberg.
Definitely had me thinking about Facebook.com for a little bit, and that was nice. I love to think about Facebook.com.
What did I have written here? Oh, yeah. There's another really great character that they introduced out of nowhere. The high school science teacher character.
That's
who
right.
is just... All he does, the only reason he exists is to discover the spider that Nikki's going to throw at Paolo later. But Nikki just walks up to this random fucking dude, and she's like, hey, Mr. Whatever, what you doing there? And he's like, I discovered 20 different species, and he has them all in these fucking peanut butter jars. He's like, I'm going to be the next Darwin. And it's like, where the fuck did this guy come from? He's just discovering 20 different species, and it's been like 2 weeks at that point. Like, fuck.
God, it's good. Can I tell you who that guy is?
Yeah.
Because the audience knows who that guy is.
Yeah. Our audience doesn't, though.
You and I do not, because this is our first time really seeing this guy.
Oh, really? But he'll be back later.
Yes, inevitably. He will show up later. He shows up in the first season, very close to the end, and he's pretty much the same guy, kind of just like know-it-all guy. And remember how that last episode we watched, there's a whole to-do about dynamite?
Yeah.
He joins them on the expedition to get dynamite, and then blows up to demonstrate to them that dynamite is dangerous.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
So basically, this guy is just de facto scientist man.
Exactly.
If we need a little bit of science done, we call on this guy.
Exactly, but
he
not
probably
effective.
lives in like
not
Irving, California.
Yeah.
Or Irvine?
Irving is New Brunswick.
Fuck.
The Irvings.
Oh, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to censor this whole episode.
Redo this one.
We're gonna have to put it behind a mandatory paywall.
Yeah. Okay, this one costs $1.
Yeah, this one costs $1, but you can see it all.
So he lives in Irvine, California. He probably works at a fucking gas station. But they're like, hey, you look like a science man. You have glasses, sir.
He's that guy. Boone and Shannon being there. The whole episode is just like loaded with just like, hey, wink to the fucking audience, and it's all so like you said before, it feels so artificial.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the Sawyer, alternate reality episode where he's a detective.
Exactly.
It just felt the same, like paper thin. The characters aren't believable. Their emotions aren't real at all.
It all is as fake as like it could possibly be.
Which is good.
Which is like fine, I guess, but like
it's it is what it is.
It is what it is. As far like I don't know. This is personally one of my least faves, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Because I
thought it sucked. I thought it was a very bad episode.
It was extraordinary.
And honestly, I've seen some bad episodes of this show.
You
at
have.
This point. Yeah, I've seen some poor bad episodes, but I liked the heaven and hell shit more than this.
Yeah, for sure.
I liked the dumb fucking introduction of who's that guy? He's like 150 years old.
Oh yeah, Richard.
I liked his episode more than this because at least
Ricky was putting in the work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was. You were watching someone like fucking act their ass off.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like that character existed later. They weren't just tossing in the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you know when you toss in the bag.
Yeah, I hate to toss in the bag. I'm gonna have to toss in the bag on this one.
What else? I have a couple notes here.
Hit me with them.
I disappointed Hurley.
Yeah, Hurley's always disappointed. A lot of good, like, so much of this episode is just fucking Nikki and Paolo just dragging themselves through lifeless scene after lifeless scene. But the Hurley and Sawyer moments in this episode are treasures.
Hurley just wants to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we have to really respect these people and stuff. And Sawyer's like, yo, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're dead now. And also, who the heck were they?
And then for some reason, the guns come up again because they always do, because this is at the heart of it, a show about guns.
Yes, I love guns and how this show is about
And Hurley's like, when were you going to tell us you got that gun? And Sawyer was like, yo, fuck you, Hurley. And then Sawyer walks away. And I just feel like we keep getting this hilarious and sad thing over and over again where Hurley, like, sort of steps up and he's like, you can't do this. This is wrong. Yeah. And then the other person, whoever it is just like, yeah, I'm just going to do it anyways. Like, Locke did it to him. Jack did it to him. Sawyer did it to him. I want Hurley to fucking snap.
Hurley is the absolute voice of reason all the time.
And he's always just like, walked all over.
Yeah, nobody's ever. No, he's always right, and nobody ever listens to him. He's the fucking audience avatar. Because he's saying what we're all fucking saying ourselves.
He is Weezer.
Yeah. What?
Weezer has an album called Hurley.
Oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
It's literally named. It is actually just a picture of Hurley.
It's a picture of her.
Oh my god, I forgot about that fact.
Weezer.
Why? Why are you making me think about Weezer? Why are you making me think about late Weezer albums?
Yeah. Why
Mid
did
to late
Weezer have
Weezer
to go
albums?
and do that shit?
They
had some jams.
Can I? I'm gonna cut this discussion off right now. This cannot be a dissection of the foibles and fables of the mid to late era Weezer.
Do you think that they chose Hurley because their path sort of mirrors the path of Lost, where it started off really promising and then it was like just pretty fucking good, and then they just go down this weird like sort of experimental hole of mediocrity?
That's not the craziest parallel I've ever heard.
Do you think there's a parallel universe where Jack, Sawyer, Hurley, and Saeed are Weezer?
I'll tell you what. I'm thinking about it and I'm liking it.
Infinite universes, you know?
Man, now that's the universe I want to live in. Take me there.
Fuck.
God.
I have a couple more notes.
Hit me.
Juliet trying to be main character?
Yes, that's right. We got a brief second when so the context for the scene is Paolo fucking sneaks into that hatch, the like secret room with all the cameras that they discovered, and to hide the diamonds. But while he's doing it, who fucking strolls in but Ben and Juliet?
Just because we need to establish that Paolo has been around every single character in the world, even ones that no one else had made contact with.
And they're like watching Jack on camera. They're like, "What are we gonna do with Shepard? Do you think he'll follow along with your plan?" Well, they're like explicitly talking about bad guy shit. And Paolo, ever the good Samaritan, never fucking mentioned this to anybody, I guess.
Of course.
Why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one focus and one focus only. Diamonds. Why would you live? Why would you care about anyone that isn't yourself?
It's so bizarre. So that was a good little thing.
That was a fun little thing.
You know, so I think Juliet is still in the running for main character. I think Sawyer's still got it at this point.
Yeah, but
Juliet puts out another strong episode or
yeah,
two.
for sure. I think
she's probably the main character.
Yeah, she's sharing that title card for sure, I think. I think it goes Sawyer, Juliet.
I always thought Jack was way up there, but he's not.
You don't see the amount of episodes where there is little to no Jack is alarming.
I sort of like it.
I don't mind it.
Not a big fan of Jack, I gotta be honest.
I'm excited to get to our first episode about Jack, so that I can see. I have one more also moment that I want to mention, which is when they are scouring Nikki and Paolo's camp. Hurley runs into a script for the show Nikki was working on, Exposé. And the resulting thing is Hurley being like, "Oh man, this show was the best show ever. It was about two strippers who would solve crimes." And then he like reads the script and he gets to the end and he's like, "Wait a second, you mean Mr. Cobra was the bad guy the whole time? No way." And like it's so good. Hurley's earnest enthusiasm for this goofy ass show is very wholesome and good.
This is the shit that they give to Hurley.
I think here's what I think. I think there's a lot of like way over the top meta shit in this episode, and it all is just like, okay, we get it. They found the fucking hatch before everyone else. They were there. They were on the left of the camera. This one has them being like explicitly like, "Oh, Mr. Cobra, he's this bad guy that's been shrouded in mystery for seasons and seasons. Nobody knows who he is." And it's like such a it's not as explicit, but it's pretty fucking explicit about like that's clearly like a goof on that whole. It's not like explicitly about like any particular thing in the show, but the whole idea of like this is I never saw this twist coming.
Oh, it's like this has been here the whole time, but then like near season 5, it becomes something completely different.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's fair actually.
Yeah,
it is the one thing that sort of has struck me about watching Lost this entire time is I feel like they sort of had an idea.
They had something. There's
Like-
not like
They knew shit was gonna get fucked.
the moment. Like there are like glimpses of moments where you think that had to be planned. That had to have at least been something.
Exactly. They didn't just like whip it up last minute in
And
the middle of season 5.
And the truth of it is they planted a lot of seeds everywhere.
Yeah.
And then slowly fleshed out whatever ones worked and whatever
Exactly.
ones
Yeah,
didn't. Sometimes,
that makes
as in the case of Nikki and Paolo, didn't work, so they spent an episode killing them off.
Yeah.
Other times, you end up with, I think Jacob is just offhandedly mentioned by someone in season 3.
Uh-huh.
By season 6, turns out he's God, I guess.
Uh-huh. I guess what they did is they planted a lot of seeds, but they got a lot of weeds.
Exactly. They got a lot of
weeds. They had
weeds.
to trim the weeds, and watching them trim the weeds, not great.
But sometimes you get a nice little flower out of that
Exactly.
arrangement too.
Or a carrot.
Or a tomato plant.
Or a green pepper. Fresh produce, everybody.
It's so my feels on this. I did just say my feels out loud. That's not a proud moment. I understand what this episode was trying to do.
Yeah.
I understand where this episode was coming from. I don't mind that fan servicey bullshit because season 5 is pretty much all fan servicey bullshit.
Uh-huh.
But the execution leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, I agree.
I love a lot of the characters kind of being equally baffled by who the heck are these guys and trying to sort it all out and kind of going through the motions of what is it, this thing, is it that thing, is it the other thing, and then eventually just burying them. And I love the twist of them getting buried alive. That's pretty fucking sick and actually kind of shocking.
Yeah, that shit was good. I mean, they redeemed themselves a little bit with that. I feel like they sort of knew they had to.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, there's no other, what are they going to come back? The problem is the episode is that the meat of the episode is just so dry. It's so dry and
hot dog.
It's so dry and not actually fun to watch at all.
Yeah.
Ricky is fun to watch.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Yeah, the Richard episode was bad.
Yeah, it was long and it was arduous and it was weirdly paced.
But it wasn't, I don't know, there was a bit of honesty to it too. It felt more like an honest attempt. Whereas this one, it just seemed like they were fine with churning out 5 out of 10.
Yeah, this one felt like a very fuck it, whatever episode. Yeah,
which sucks. And
it was a bummer.
It's really disheartening as a, someone who...
How do you compare this to, you mentioned the, alternate world where Sawyer was a cop. How does this compare to that?
It's the same.
The same?
I think I enjoyed the other one more because...
It had Sawyer.
I care about Sawyer, yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's they made characters that you won't naturally care about to begin with because you don't have any relationship to them, and they clearly have no relationship to the show. They just came out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And they made them shitty characters. And that was the thing. It's they made Sawyer's character shitty in the other thing, but at least you had a lot invested in Sawyer at that point.
Exactly.
So you cared a little bit.
Exactly.
But in this one, it's they just...
Yeah.
It was like reading fan fiction.
It really and truly actually kind of was. Even more so than the alternate universe shit, which is which is explicitly almost certainly fan fiction.
Yeah.
But
they probably just found that on a message board.
They probably did.
Tossed it in.
I wouldn't blame them.
Hey kid, we'll pay you fucking $20.
God, yeah, not. Some people like this episode, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't mind. I don't mind the sick twist at the end is pretty cool, but I don't know if y'all remember how boring the meat and potatoes of this episode is. How,
I think it was the
nothing.
worst one we've seen so far.
I would stand by that statement. I would definitely stand by this. And the thing about it is, it's so the degree to which it's divorced from all other action on the show, the degree to which it's such a standalone episode, even even compared to other episodes, it's still other episodes where it's this is completely for example, again, the Ricky episode. But even Ricky's been around. Ricky's a seed they planted.
Exactly.
Ricky's a seed they planted, and then they were well, what if he was ageless? And then he's well, what if he did this and that? And then it's they kind of like slowly have built this character up, and that episode's meant to be
before
like
they give him that fucking long, drawn out
exactly
tale of mediocrity.
Exactly. But so it at least feels kind of earned.
That seems so insulting to like, the character. It's like to call his story a tale of mediocrity when like what happened to him. He was like kidnapped.
Yeah,
and his wife died.
He had a whole rigmarole. But like
the smoke monster was out to get him.
He was out to get him, and Jacob
he was lied to by God himself.
He was lied to by a lot of people about a lot of things.
It's a very different tale of mediocrity than this fucking.
This one.
Oh, the diamonds.
Yeah, the fucking like the main motivating thing in this episode is just fucking diamonds.
That's the problem too. The motivator was just like monetary worth, which has not driven any character to do anything.
No, it's as shallow as could possibly be.
Yeah, they spent 3 whole seasons up to this point really driving home that like what is most important to all of these characters is things that will help survival, things that will help getting off the island. And for some reason there's these 2 characters in the background who have no interest in that shit.
Nope.
And all they care about is fucking diamonds.
It feels very it feels mean to a degree that feels uncharacteristic for this show.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels like, look at these fuckers. Now they're dead. Isn't that fucking cool?
Yeah.
It feels like a step towards a faux edginess that I'm glad Lost never really embraced.
Yeah. It embraced something else.
Yeah,
but,
they embraced something else. And whether or not they did it, like, and again, like, bless them for trying. But sometimes when they, like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I like it when a show tries weird shit and experiments, because it's more interesting to me to watch something that's swinging for the fences all the time and missing than to watch a show that's just kind of like fucking, going through the motions. Yeah. And sometimes that means you get episodes that try something and really don't succeed at it.
Yeah.
Like this
and
one.
And that's this one.
Out
of 10.
I'd give it a 4, maybe.
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah. I thought it was garbage.
I was being pretty generous. I get a lot of mileage out of seeing Hurley and Sawyer be pals and investigating.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They did. There were moments.
Yeah.
But
they're best friends, baby.
By far the worst episode I've seen.
Man, I don't know if it's gonna get much worse than this one because it's such a standalone one.
Yeah. And I had higher expectations because it was mid-season 3.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't tell you a single thing. I basically told you like did I tell you anything going into this one? I don't think I did.
No.
I think I just sicked it on you.
Which was a good choice.
Yeah, you experienced it. You experienced it raw.
Fuck yeah.
Honestly, I love it when it's raw.
Me too.
All right. I think that's
Lost.
I think that's the Island Shuffle for this week.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to our silly little show. Like us on Facebook if you don't already.
Like us on Twitter.
Follow me on Twitter at Barrier Trio. Follow James on Twitter at James Brown.
Yeah.
Follow your heart.
Where else could you like us? Google us, please.
Google us. Don't hit me up on Facebook because if you're my friend, then yes. Otherwise, no.
No.
Just stick to following me on Twitter. And have yourselves a dream of the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, of course, get